Well, let's stay with this story of hijacked buildings in the Johannesburg CBD. Joining me for this conversation is the Gauteng Portfolio Committee chairperson, that's Dr Bandile Masuku. Mr. Masuku, good evening to you. Thank you for your time. I'd like to ask you first, just based on what we know so far, and in particular, the clips we've just played from the MMC of community safety in Johannesburg. Is there any doubt in your minds as the Portfolio Committee that this is possibly the work of an organized crime syndicate operating in the Johannesburg CBD?
No, we don't have any doubt about that. It is a syndicate. The murder was premeditated and it was well planned, and it also seems that it has been coming, and the threats have been made to him. And I wonder, what we have to get from the police, what they did to act and make sure that they actually enforce those protection orders, because it was clear that the threats were coming and he was intimidated. And of course, also maybe the question that we also need to ask is whether do we really need to put our civilians, our private citizens in this danger, where as the police and as the Metro Police, we can be able to come in and make sure that we protect buildings, we protect the citizens. So for me, it's just the worry that there are some lapses that, I'm seeing in this case.
Yeah. Well, you are the lawmakers. You are the people that must come up with tight laws that are able to guard against such criminality, particularly if they are going to be visited upon ordinary citizens. So what is the best strategy to eradicate this? Because it cannot be allowed to be entrenched, to be allowed to take hold. What is it that is going to be done to root it out?
I think the important part about the hijacked buildings is that the Metro Council, the City Council must come on board. I know that they've done a number of operations reclaiming some of the buildings that have been hijacked, and also in making sure that they enforce some bylaws. And we want them to actually to continue with that type of work. We also know that there's a committee, a team that is led by the Provincial Commissioner Mtombeni, which is also looking at the issues of land invasion and also on hijacked buildings. So this is what as a committee will do. We are going to request, of course, a progress report, what has happened, but in particular on this case, we just want to know what did the police do upon the receipt and upon the application of the protection orders, because if you talk about 5, it means that the threat has been alive for a long time.
I can't not question you on what your observation has been thus far, because you're saying, based on your just initial assessment of what has happened, there were quote-unquote lapses. What are those lapses to your mind, and how should this have been prevented, particularly if we are saying that there were 5 protection orders in place that were opened by DJ Warras himself?
Yeah, I think one of them is just the enforcement of the protection order, and also how the police would have acted. That's why I'm saying that it will be important to get a report from the police on how they acted upon the application of these protection orders. And of course, with all the threats, life threats that he was having, what did the police do? And that's what we can be able to accurately identify where the lapse actually came about, because we can't have our citizens applying for protection order and the police don't do anything about it. And it's something that we see quite often also with gender-based violence, crimes.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm talking to you, Dr. Masuku, because you're able to almost look with a bird's eye view at the entirety of the Gauteng region. As we talk today, Marius van der Merwe was being remembered in Brakpan today. He ran a security company, and again, his murder, nothing was taken, and so people have said, including those in authority, that this was a clear assassination. Here we are now talking about another individual who may have been involved in the private security industry, taken out in a very similar fashion. Do we need to worry, particularly where private security companies are involved, whether it be the targeting of its owners, and how are these supposed to work in tandem with law enforcement, the police, in order to effectively fight crime?
Ideally, Xoli, is that private security do play a role as part of the force multiplier and also in terms of visibility of law enforcement agencies around the areas where they are actually deployed at. But I think a broader conversation that we have had in the past was they are somehow not regulated system where you get them using blue lights, for an example, carrying rifles, high caliber rifles, and so on. So they do play some role in a positive way in dealing with crime, but also they've got an effect and impact on the negative side of things, because some of the guns that are found that are used in some of these hits and so on are actually guns that are from the private security. And I think that's where the problem is. And I think we need to be able to further put more scrutiny on the regulations and the functions of private security, and then we'll be able to understand what is there. In the committee, we've also raised the issue about the guns. I think I've raised it before, that most of the crimes that we are seeing are around, they are based on guns, and security is one source of these guns, which is a big worry, and we need to put more eyes and scrutiny on the private security.
Yeah. Dr. Masuku, I'm going to end the conversation with our initial line of thought, where I asked specifically whether there was any doubt in your mind that this is the work of an organized crime syndicate, and you responded in the affirmative. I'm going to end then with this particular question, whether, if indeed this is your concession, that we have organized crime that is entrenching itself. There's no doubt, therefore, Dr. Masuku, that we are, in a sense, engulfed by the mafia, and some of them have their tentacles in the state, in that they work with particular officials in government. Are we in a mafia state at the moment?
I wouldn't say as of yet now, and I think what is positive is also what we are getting from the Matlanga Commission. And I think all of us will look forward to what Matlanga Commission will bring out into the public of what has been happening in the criminal justice system. But syndicates are there, and syndicates are functioning. And the police, in their response, they've made sure that they focus on different types of syndicates. We know that there's the illegal mining syndicates, where the police have got a task team and an operation that is continuing to function and do work, called Operation Valum Kodi. We know that there are syndicates around drugs and gangsters. There is also a team that is working on that, and we've seen some of their positive results. So I think the Matlanga Commission gives us a bigger opportunity to have a good scrutiny on the criminal justice system and how far do we have criminal elements in our police force and in our justice system. So it's something that we look forward to, but I wouldn't say outrightly without any more evidence that we need to have to consider that we are, in a mafia state. But I think there are efforts to make sure that the rule of law do come and prevail.
All right, perhaps the characterization of a mafia state, you're saying that is too strong a wording for us to employ, at least for now. But if we just look at what you've listed, so there's a crime syndicate, an organized crime syndicate, working in preserving their turf when it comes to buildings that are hijacked. You have an organized crime syndicate working in the mining space where they're involved in illegal mining. You have those that are peddling drugs in the country. That's also organized crime. So can we at least agree that these organized crime syndicates have indeed deepened their operations? They are entrenched, are they not?
No, I wouldn't say entrenched as such, but I would say that they are operating. And we know that there's been a number of disruptive operations that have been in place where we have seen somehow a decline of some of the illegal mining operations that we have seen. We have seen the arrest of the big individuals who are the ones that do the national and transnational selling of the illicit gold. And we have seen that work, and we think the police must do more in terms of putting teams and focusing on different types of these crimes. And I'm happy with the one that we are going to get a report on around the land the land invasions and also building hijacks, which is chaired by the provincial commissioner. We need to get the report. But like I've said, the report is going to point us to a situation where we know where the lapses are, where the gaps are, and what needs to be tightened up. And I think that's where we need to actually say to encourage the police to do their work, and also to dismantle the syndicates. And also the community and the public must play a role. When they know and hear something, it's important that they report this to the law enforcers, the law enforcement agencies, and so that we can be able to deal with it more accurately and precisely.
Bandile Masuku, thank you very much for your time. Chairperson of the Gauteng Portfolio Committee on Community Safety.